few weeks ago I decided to come back to Larford Lakes to fish the Silverfish Festival. I haven't been able to fish it for the last couple of years, and that's purely because it's always clashed with the Iberian Masters that takes place in Spain, and that was such an exciting event that, you know, I really wanted to fish that, and that's what I've done the last couple of years. However, they have changed the date of the Iberian Masters this year, so that's enabled me to go along to Larford Lakes and to fish the Silverfish Festival. Now, I've really been looking forward to it, just like lots of other people. It's been fishing well. However, a few days ago the fishery was hit, just like many parts of the country, with floods. It's just devastated the fishery. It was incredible. Some of the footage from the actual venue, from anglers that have fished here, is just, well, it's breathtaking really, to see a fishery of this size to be affected in such a way with the floods and things. But obviously it's affected huge areas of the country. It was amazing how many people on Facebook and on social media have actually expressed their concerns for the fishery and offered to help Phil Briscoe and Julian and all the team here to rebuild the fishery, just to help put the platforms back in place and just restore the fishery back to its former glory. I had already scheduled to be down here at Larford Lakes. I'd booked my digs and everything because I was going to be fishing an open match here today, which has, as you'd expect, been cancelled. So I thought, why not come along anyway? I've got Dad with me, so we stayed down here in the Premier Inn, not far away from here, and I thought, let's just have a session. There's still plenty of extra water in here. There was about at least another 2 to 3 feet of water in this just 2 days ago, so the water levels have started to drop slightly now, and I've seen some fish topping. So I'm just going to have a couple of hours. I'm going to fish on Match Lake on the grass bank just in front of the cafe. There's a bit of a ripple on it. The wind's quite strong. They have forecast some rain, but I'm here. I've got my tackle and I've got my filming gear, so I just thought you'd enjoy watching me through this 2-hour session just to see if we can catch a few fish. Like I said, this is not a match, okay? I've probably only got a couple of hours. There is going to be some rain coming, so I'm going to keep everything really simple. Just want to see if we can catch a few fish. While I'm here, I've just seen a couple rising right down in the corner behind those flooded trees, so there are some fish kicking about. So I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm going to fish a method feeder, and I'm going to be using pellets. It's really CARP and F1s in this venue, or in this lake anyway. I'm not going to be targeting any silverfish. So there's a fishery only pellet rule here. So I've just got a bag of the micros, or 2mm pellets if you want to call them that. Depends how you refer to them. And I'm not going to mix loads and loads because I think it's just going to be a case of just plopping the feeder in different areas until I can find 1 or 2 fish. Might get lucky, but so I'm just going to put a few in the box like that, and then all I'm going to do is, every fishery has got different pellets, and so, you know, getting to know them and getting to soak them is just something that, you know, you've really got to kind of suck it and see. You know, some fisheries pellets take longer to soak than others, so all I'm going to do is just cover them with water, nice and simple. And all I'm going to do, because I haven't used these pellets for a while, I'm just going to kind of just give them probably a couple of minutes first initially, just to see what they're going to be like after that period, and then I can drain the water off, and if they need more soaking, then obviously I can just give them a little bit longer. I'm going to be using a glug today, so that's going to help sticky the pellets up a little bit, but I'm not using the glug for that reason. The method feeders that I'm going to be using are, you don't really need to add anything to the pellets to get the pellets to stick in the feeder, because it's an open feeder with sides on. So I'm not adding the glug because of that. I'm doing it because I've just been trying some new glugs out. This is one unmarked bottle, as you'd expect. That is basically, I know people will ask, it's something that I've been using on some of these kind of sessions. Now I've got a little bit more time to spend on the bank. It's like a mixture of cell and some crushed boilie. It's just a mix of my own. It hasn't even got a name yet, so it'll be interesting to see if it catches a few fish. I can try fishing without it, and I can also try fishing with it, but it's something I've been trying, and I'll obviously let you know how that goes during the session. So these pellets now have had about 2 minutes, and to me they still look quite hard, you know, so I'm going to let them soak a little bit longer, add a bit more water, okay, drain the water off, and I'll just get them just right, and then I'll add some glue to them once I've drained the water off. Well, because I didn't know I was actually going to be fishing today, the baits that I've got are really just shelf life baits, ones that I had in the van and that I carry in my bag whenever I come to venues like this. So as you can imagine, it's really much about the boilie and the wafter type bait. A lot of people ask me how I carry my hook baits for boilies. I'll simply have a nice little tub like that, or a little case, got a zip on it, and that particular one fits 4 tubs of hook baits in perfectly. Okay, I find these 4 tubs generally cover most of the situations I come across. Okay, so in one of them, for example, I'll show you, they are some Ringers washout boilies, which I'm going to be fishing with today, or wafters. I'm going to be trying them today. There's 8mm and 10mm in there. Okay, so I can try those. I've got your usual hook pellets, so that's just a variety of 4, 6s and 8mm, just for fishing a banded pellet. Okay, just a nice mixture. That's all you need to carry. I've also got some all sorts 6mm, various colours in there. All right, they're from the Ringers range. All right, caught loads of fish on them. They're like the well, the Bandom chocolate ones, these ones, but they're like a dumbbell almost shape. You know, they're not round, so it's just a bit of variety. And then I've got some big babies. They're the ones that I tend to use on bigger carp venues. I might use these more on Spessy Lake here for you know, for bigger carp, 10mm. Okay, so, and obviously a variety of colours. All right, I've got some pop-ups in there as well, but I've also got these small ones that I have been catching with these, but I've been catching more skimmers and bream on silverfish type venues when I'm fishing less selective. All right, and these are the 6mm versions. I think they're 6. They might be. They're actually named a mini wafter, but they're a Bandom wafter mini. There's no size on there, but I think they must be about 5mm. 2 different colours, and these might be more suited on this lake if we're targeting more F1s and smaller fish. So I've got plenty of options there to go through whilst I'm fishing. Well, these pellets now have been soaking for about 4 minutes, and I think they're going to be about right. Obviously, even when you drain water off the pellets, there's still water actually in the tub and around the pellets themselves. So it's kind of just, I'm draining the water off to allow for that extra water to be soaked in. All right, and all I'll do now is, I'm not going to be fishing for about another 20 minutes or so. Okay, so they're going to absorb even more moisture, and hopefully they're going to be bang on. If not, they've not gone too far, so that means that if they're still not quite right, then I can add water to them. Don't try and add too much water too soon, because once you've ruined them and you can't bring them back. I've just had my first cast. I've just underarmed it to about 10 metres, that's all, just to see if there's anything there. I'm getting little indications now, little tiny liners. I've had a couple that have kind of hooked up on the line as well and pulled the rod right round, but it's, you know, they're not bites as such, but it's definite indication that there are a few fish there. So I might be casting a little bit past them. You never know when it's flooded like this. Sometimes the fish, if it's, you know, the water might be colder down at the bottom, or it could be siltier. You don't really know if sediment's coming from the river, from this extra flood water, so they might be in the shallower water, but that's something I can find out. Just getting an indication again now, just little touches, but there are definitely fish there. So I think, unless, I'm going to give this a couple more minutes, it's been in 5-6 minutes, I'll just give it up to 10 minutes, just to see if we can hook one. And if not, then the next one, I'm just going to drop much shorter. It's not a match, there aren't loads of people on the bank, there's a nice chop on it and it is coloured, so there's no reason why they wouldn't be in this really shallow water. I know that's something we do later on in a session or in a match, but obviously this is slightly different. So I'm already here for a couple of hours, so I want to see if we can catch a couple of fish for you, and it'll be interesting to see what they are. There we go. Getting indications now, that's only been in a minute. Getting little indications again. So there's obviously fish there. We're just going to try and turn those indications into fish in the net. Had a couple of little indications then. I didn't think it was going to develop, but obviously there was no mistake in the difference between a liner and a proper bite. There's bits of weed down there. When this lake's at its normal level, there's, you know, fringe grass and reeds running down the edge of the water. But obviously now we're sat back, I've got to try and pick a spot where you're not in that grass. That first cast, I had a little bit of weed round the hook. But yeah, it's a good fish. Looks like a proper carp, I think. That's just on one of the mini wafters. He's not really put up much of a fight, really. There we go. Bigger than I thought. Great start though. Lovely fish. Let's hold him up. He's really cold. It's a really cold fish, but it's a proper carp. Very chunky. There we go. Really cold. Big scales on that. Really big scales. But that was only in about 3 minutes, which is obviously very quick, certainly for this time of year. But when you're getting indications of line, it's telling you that the fish are there. Pop him in the net. Like I said, I'm not clipped up. So all I'm going to do is, as you'd expect, return to that same spot again. Just on a yellow mini wafter, that one. I'm on the glugged pellets now as well. I haven't tried the natural ones yet, you know, the ones that are just fishery on their own, as it was, without any sort of flavourings on them. So I'm just going to underarm this again, back to that same spot. Just feather it nicely, let it go straight down. And one of the key things you've got to do when you're fishing like this at such short range for these sorts of fish is always undo your drag. That's the beauty of not fishing to a line clip. Because when you do get those vicious takes, then obviously with the drag, you know, the clutch set loose, it can just, obviously the fish can just run out of the peg without risking losing your rod. So I just gone back to the same spot now, so we'll see if we can just catch any more there. If not, I'll just move spot then. I can either come closer if I think the fish are closer, or I can obviously push out further into the lake. So again, this has only been in 2 minutes and already getting little indications. That might be an issue, just finding a spot that isn't, you know, where you haven't dropped it into reeds or the grass. And somewhere here there are 1 or 2 lily beds as well in summer, so there could be reminiscences of that down there, you know, the stems and things, so it's hard to judge. But at least the indications are telling us that there's some fish there. There we go, another indication there. Drop back, let's hit him, he's on. So that was just a little pull and a drop back. My dad sat behind me laughing, he's not used to seeing bites like this. Can hear that wind howling through those trees now. I think we've got it good here where we are. We're just a little bit sheltered, but feels like another decent fish. The great thing with catching them at such short range as well is you can land them quite quickly. I mean, I'm not going to bully these fish by any means, there's no point today. Big F1, let's net him there. That's an F1, that one. Chunky F1s, there are more F1s in here. I don't even know if there are any F1s in the other lake. Again on a yellow mini wafter. Putting his fins up for you, posing for the camera. Lovely fish again, it's really, really cold, but very, very welcome. Great sign that they're feeding. Lovely chunky fish, that one. Let's see if we can catch some more. that's it. I'm not using a stopwatch today. Usually in winter, when I'm certainly in a match, or when you expect to be leaving it in longer and longer, I would be using a stopwatch, but not today, because obviously this is just a you know, a 2-hour session. And when you're being mobile like this, you know, certainly on these F1 lakes, I like to just, you know, put it in different spots without having too much of a formal structure. If I was on one of the other lakes, like Spessy Lake, for example, or even Barston, where you sat waiting, where you literally are waiting for a couple of pulls, then that's when I'd certainly be using a stopwatch, just to keep track of how long I'm leaving it in each time. But when you be mobile like this, I mean, obviously with the indications, I mean, you can see the indications now. There are some fish there, so I don't see any point in a stopwatch for this sort of fishing, because when I'm getting indications like that, for, you know, I don't like to leave it in too long, because you don't know if the pellets are being stripped off the feeder, or some of these pulls might. There we go. See that one? I would have said that was on, or as he swam towards me, that's locked up now. That's just locked up, so that could be in some of the lilies, so it's come free. So that fish wasn't on a, you know, I don't know if it was just across the line and then there was nothing there, or whether the hook just didn't go in properly, and then obviously when I've retrieved it, it's gone into some grass or weed. That's alright, I've got the rig back, and again it was only in about 2 minutes, which was brilliant, you know. So all I'm going to do now is just stay on that same spot and see if we can land a few more. Well, I dropped that even shorter that time. I'm getting lots of grass there now, so I've just come even shorter to about 6 meters there, so maybe that's a clear spot. But there are obviously fish there, but the trouble is just kind of getting a clear bit to put the method in. I think that's why we're getting indications, because they can't quite nail it properly. But that's the smallest fish of the day so far. I don't know if that's a reflection of where we caught it, whether the smaller fish are in the shallower water, I don't know, but we'll find out. Just nailed again in the bottom lip. Beautiful F1. So yeah, so I'm just gone a little bit shorter now. Like I said, that was about 8 meters, and it was only in probably 2 minutes before it actually went, so we'll find out if that's a new clear spot where I can catch a few more. Well, I've just been coming shorter and shorter, and the shorter I come, the more weed I get. I've just gone back to 10 meters where I started, and this one's got me stuck in whatever's down there now. That was a pull and then it dropped back again. The drag is undone, it's undone a little bit more than usual, and that's just because I'm filming. Yeah, it's pull free, that. So I just went back to 10 meters because there's loads of weed and grass. So I'm just trying to find a clear spot, but that was the first cast back at 10 meters. So that might be the best line to fish really, even though it's obviously a little bit further out. But that was only in about a minute, and that was a fish, so I'm going to drop this back at that spot and see if the fish are just, you know, it's a cleaner bottom there, but just struggling to find a clear spot at the moment. I could go out into the middle of the lake, but I've got a feeling with this wind and everything, I think the fish are in this, you know, this shorter range. There we go. Second cast back on that spot. Feels like a small F1, but that might be the better line at the moment. Yep, another F1. Lovely catching them at short range like this, it's exciting. Another F1 again, same sort of size as the last one. It's very cold. The first thing that hits me is how cold it is. As you can see, they're still quite active and they're certainly feeding. of hours. It's been a 50-50 split between F1s and proper carp as well. I've literally only fished for 2 hours. I've had the rod out there for 2 hours. I've been doing bits of filming and that sort of thing. If I got my head down and fished properly, who knows how many fish we might have caught in you know, such a short session. But it's been a lovely mixed bag of, like I said, F1s and carp. It's funny how the smaller F1s tended to come from the shallower water, but the bigger carp came from the deeper water out at 10 and 12 metres, which is quite interesting. Some lovely fish. Off you go, mate. And then we've had a few of the F1s as well. We all know that this lake is full of these fish. But as you can see, you know, I'm not even going to try and guesstimate the weight, but lovely net of fish, fantastic. They're all freezing cold. Loads of F1s. We've had an indication every single cast. And like I say, in a 5-hour session, a good weight was definitely achievable today. Just look at the scales on that. Absolutely stunning fish. Let's pop him back. Some more F1s. Fantastic. And another chunky carp there. Yellow has definitely been the best colour today, hook bait wise. Still loads of energy left in these fish. Go on, off you go. Just pop you back. And great to see so many F1s feeding. There's a chunky one there. Fantastic. Well, I never expected to catch so many fish, to be honest, under the you know, present conditions. This fishery really looked devastating a few days ago, and obviously it's been quite clear to show and see that it's not affected the fishing in any way. I've had an indication every single cast today. I've had to pop it in different areas, but we're fishing, when you're catching short, or when the water's up like this, you're fishing in new territory. You're fishing on grass, there's weeds there, so it's just a case of finding a clear spot. I might have caught if I'd fished further out into the lake, on the normal lake bed, where they're obviously on, you know, patches of weed and that sort of thing, but I just had a feeling the fish would be in the shallow water, and having had an indication every single cast, then I think that might have been the right thing to do. But I hope we've enjoyed this little bit of a session. It's been nice. I'm really glad I brought my tattle along and made the most of it, really. So loads more videos like this coming on. If you don't want to miss any of those future videos, please hit subscribe. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's hugely appreciated. And if you want to see more coaching, tuition style videos, then check out my other channel just there, which is Patron TV. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.